Hello, my beautiful beings. This week is the last episode that I'm gonna do for this first phase of my podcast journey on Let's Create the Revolution Together. We're also near the end of this year, so I wanted to reflect on the past 7 months. After this episode, I'm gonna take a little break. I'm gonna enjoy the holidays, and we're gonna see each other on the full moon, the first full moon of January 2024, to meet again in a new way. So let's hear this introduction for one last time. Here we go. Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Let's Create the Revolution Together, a podcast about creating new ways to embody ourselves as human. If you're here, you're probably well aware of all the shifts that are happening on our planet. Maybe you go with the flow with those changes, or maybe you're struggling to find who you truly are. Either way, this space right here is for you. My name is Marigold Era. I'm an Ayurvedic wellness coach, a spiritual life coach, and a podcaster. I am here to guide you through this reality that we can call the Earth School. I strongly believe that we are here to create new ways to show up as individual and as collective, and that every experience that we encounter is an opportunity to grow and evolve. So grab yourself something to drink, make yourself comfortable, and let's jump right into the next episode. So, when I was young, I was a very curious child. I wanted to write, I wanted to understand human experience, and I knew that I wasn't meant to do as I'm told. It was always a little rebel, and I knew that I needed to create new ways, and I knew that for a long time. And somehow I kind of forgot about it because, society, pressure, family, wanting to please other, wanting to be accepted. And so I created my life in a way that wasn't the most authentic that I was. I had a lot of fun in my life, but something changed in 2023, and I wanted to remember who I am, what am I here to do, and I wanted to understand like what my role is in this world, and I wanted to do something that I love and bring some kind of value into the world and like just appear as who I am. And so that's how my podcast journey started. This year, my family and I moved for freedom of education. So much has changed since then. We're now finding our own rhythm, and it feels so nice to find a sense of security because for so long I didn't feel safe in my life, in my body, and it really does feel nice to feel that safety, that security. And what I'm discovering is that the more secure I feel, the more safe I feel, the more my creativity comes online. Since I was feeling safe, I wanted to put myself out there. I felt ready to do so. And so that's why I created Let's Create the Revolution Together, the podcast. Since a very, very long time, I wished to see this world change. But this year, I've decided that I actually wanted to do more than wish. And I wanted to be a part of that transformation. So that's why I went on Facebook that day and I asked my network if anyone cared to share their story about living outside the mainstream world. I had so many responses. I was actually surprised, and I didn't even imagine that my schedule would just get booked so quickly. I started to meet people, amazing, creative, beautiful people, and I had so much fun. Even though it got a little overwhelming at one point, I kept on going because I wanted to be there for those people and I wanted to be there to tell their story for people to understand that, first of all, no one is alone. Second, everybody's story has value in there. And the third one is that no matter how somebody's story went, we can always relate to each other. I had like so many healer that raised their hand for this adventure with me. I had intimacy coach, priestess, crystal healer, divine feminine, hypnotherapist, psychic medium. I had like Reiki master, numerologist, shaman, like so many beautiful healers, so many beautiful people that raised their hand and that showed up for themselves and tell their story. I have had like so many people that actually healed themselves. I had unschooler, I had people leaving the corporate world and just like reflecting on their experience. In Let's Create the Revolution Together, we talked a lot about spirituality, how the law of attraction, how it works, how to overcome addiction with spirituality. We talked about meditation, following your inner voice, even though it feels sometimes so freaking uncomfortable. We talked about how we can feel a little superior at time when we're on a spiritual journey. We talked about the importance of creativity and we talked about opening our heart to live a more authentic life. We covered so much in those few months, and I wanted to thank everybody that spent a little time with me telling me their stories. I have no word to express the gratitude I have for you guys. It was amazing to be there with you, to witness your stories, and to tell your stories to the world. So thank you. I also wanted to thank my amazing family, especially my devoted husband, who is always there for me in every step of the way. I couldn't even think about being here or being able to do that if it wasn't for him. And also, for this last episode, I wanted to come back on my healing journey because I did hit a major dip in this journey. It was really bad, you guys. My health went down the drain super quickly, which, often happen when we shift our reality, when we try to up level our life. It sometimes happen that our body is like responding in some ways. And so that's what happened to me. I had like parasite, fungus, extreme fatigue. I was never sleeping more than 2 hours at a time. My bladder was hyperactive. I wasn't able to keep any fluids, so that's not good. My digestion was super unstable. My nervous system was on hyper alert all the time. I was never able to relax. And it wasn't just because of the podcast. Like, I had like stuff that was piling up, that I didn't dealt with in my life. And I feel like just because I decided to show up and to be there for myself and be there publicly, a lot just came back, a lot of trauma, a lot of unhealed wound just like came back and knocking at my door for me to have this opportunity to heal them. So I tried to heal myself with natural products along the way, but I wasn't really seeing any difference. And the level of overwhelmed that I was going through at that time was very, very intense. And I was trying real hard to heal myself, and I want to thank a lot of you guys that actually raised their hand to help me heal that thing that I was going through. So you guys know who you are. Thank you so much for raising your hand and being there for me. I greatly appreciate it. But like the thing that really shifted for me was when I discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza. I kind of knew him because in this world of like when you're in the spiritual community, you kind of know about him because he's a big deal. But I never really actually sat down and listened to him. I knew him by name, but I didn't experience what he was saying. So I was already meditating every day. I was doing like all kinds of stuff to heal myself. As I said, I took a natural product. I was doing yoga. I was meditating. I was like walking in nature. I was doing all the things that I thought that would be helping me, but I just didn't see the result. But then I started to meditate with Joe Dispenza, and then suddenly everything shifted. It was like the power of our brain, the way he speaks about healing, and the way he speaks about like the science that meets the spiritual. It's just very inspiring for me, and it just like clicked. Something clicked, and the way I manifested just shifted because I was connecting with something greater and deeper inside of me that I just never encountered before. So it was very bizarre at first. I remember the first time I meditated with him, it was just so weird. I wasn't used to that kind of meditation. I remember at first I had like trouble staying in the meditation, and I was like, come on, girl, let's go, let's do it. And I kept on trying, and then I reached it. I reached that point where I was just like crying in my meditation, not of sadness, but like those tears when you reach a point where you understand really deeply what's going on. And so after that, I started to sleep well, and my body started to heal itself because, as Joe Dispenza is saying, when we calm our nervous system, the body is gonna heal itself. So I just kept on meditating twice a day, every morning, every night before bed. And I just kept on seeing those changes. It was very cool. And throughout my life, I've always knew that we had that kind of power, but I could never experience it. It was always like for others, like other people can do that. And I met those people in my podcast that actually healed themselves, and I was like, well, this is possible. This is actually possible. But then when it came to me, I was like, it's possible for others but not for me, right? So when I started to meditate with Joe Dispenza, I actually understood that it was actually possible for me as well. And so yeah, so it's just like changed everything, and then my body started to heal itself. I kept on doing the yoga, of course, and some breathing exercise, and I kept this one natural product that felt like it was kind of helping me at the time. But mostly it felt like it was the meditation that actually shifted my whole health situation. So yeah, so when my sleep started to improve, I don't know, a weight was lifted off my shoulder because when you don't sleep, it's very hard to just function in your day-to-day life. Like it's just it's just so hard when you don't sleep well. And so I started to sleep better, and then the more I was sleeping better, the more my nervous system was healing itself. The more I was doing those meditation, the more my nervous system was healing itself, the more my heart was opening itself. And then I was just like seeing more clearly all around me. And then like my bladder started to calm itself down. My digestive system started to regulate itself, and I had like less and less signs of parasite or fungus. My mind was clearer, my emotion were back to normal. So as I was feeling much better with my mind getting clearer, my ideas were clearer as well. And so it was like, well, I just like remembered, that I'm an Ayurvedic wellness coach, and I was like, I have tools and I can actually use them because I was taught how to use those tools. And so I decided that it was time for me to do an Ayurvedic cleanse. So mid fall, I just did it. When I started my Ayurvedic journey, I was doing a lot of cleanses, like twice a year, every year. It was a very important ritual for me. And I don't know, somehow like down the road, so many things happened, and I just kind of let go of that, like because of life. And I was just like putting my attention to something else, and then I was like, I think I really need to do a cleanse like I used to do. And so I just went on doing that, and it was cool because my husband actually did it with me, so it was very fun. So we went and bought everything that we needed, and we did the whole process. I went for like a 6 weeks cleanse because I knew that I needed to cleanse a lot. And in total I almost lost 15 pounds of crap, of toxins, of amas that I was keeping in my body, which is so crazy. And I was like, of course, my body was like, so cluttered. It was too much to handle, So now I'm all good. I feel much better. The whole cleanse was a very very cool experience to get back to. I really appreciated it. It was very fun to do, challenging at time, but as it always is. But yeah, it was very fun. And so as I was feeling better, I was seeing clearer in my podcast journey. And it was very clear to me that podcasting is something that I actually need to do. And I had like this intuition when I was doing this cleanse that I needed to rebrand. So, the last thing I want to touch on in this episode is the rebranding of Let's Create the Revolution Together, which I'm so excited about. First of all, I'm going to launch this newer version of my podcast on the first full moon of January 2024, which will be on the 25th. So, January 25th. I was supposed to do it a little sooner, but then it was just not aligned. So, I decided to change it. But it's going to stick to this date, January 25th. I just love the full moon energy so much. It's an energy of completion, transformation, and I think it's gonna be cool to celebrate this completion because I'm gonna be real with you guys. I've been through a lot of ups and downs in this rebranding, but I am now ready to talk about it more. So first of all, the name of the podcast is going to be Shakti's Gift. At first, I had a different name in mind, but I just recently decided to follow my intuition. And Shakti has been such a big influence in my life for the past 4 years. We talked a lot about her in my Ayurvedic training. So, Shakti represent the divine feminine energy, the power that is fundamental to the cosmos. The term Shakti actually means power or energy in Sanskrit. And this divine energy is considered dynamic, creative, all encompassing, underlying, and sustaining the entire universe. Um, when I first heard of this version of the feminine energy, it just felt right to me. And later on in the podcast, I'm going to tell you guys some story about Shakti because the stories that they tell in Ayurveda around that are just so beautiful. So I'm gonna talk about that more in the actual rebranding. And like as women, we go through cycles every month, so we're ever changing, and we're such creator, and we have like this strong life force inside of us, and so this Shakti energy is not only for women only, of course. I mean, we all have this feminine and this masculine energy inside of us, and this is just an energy that speaks to me really deeply. I wanted to name my podcast Shakti's Gift because I want to talk more about Ayurveda, about creativity, and about this feminine energy. In this newer version of the podcast, I'm going to do more solo episode, but I'm still going to meet amazing beings that are going to be there to share with you guys and with me their gift, their power, and their energy. And as a matter of fact, I already started to record a few episodes and I'm so excited about them and I'm so like eager to share them with you guys in 2024. Coming soon, I'll release the trailer of this newer version of my podcast and I'll share some surprise that are coming up too. So stay tuned. January 25th, 2024, the day that's going to be the release of this newer version of the podcast. So, all right, so I'm going to leave you to that, I think. Yeah. And let's meet again pretty soon. 2024 is going to be a great year, you guys. I wish you guys so much fun in your holiday season. Take care of yourself. Don't overdo it. Listen to your gut feeling. Go to those parties that make sense for you and have fun, and reach out to the people you love and tell them that you love them, because it's just so important, right? So I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you in 2024. Ciao.